Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Package Tourist, hosted by yours truly, the Package Tourist and the magical mystery tour called Life, Matthew DiBiase. Tonight's guest is Brittney Ingersoll. Brittney has been the curator of the Cumberland Historical Society since 2018, and previously she served as a records management assistant at the Society. She also was a historian in residence fellowship for the Center of Historic American Building Arts and was a teaching assistant and history fellow at Rutgers University-Camden College of Arts and Sciences. Tonight, we will be discussing her work at the Cumberland Historical Society. Brittney, welcome to the show. It's a great honor and privilege to have you here. I'd like to start off by asking you, Brittney, would you please tell our audience, where exactly is the Cumberland Historical Society located and what is its mission?
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be invited to speak to you about the work we've been doing. So the Cumberland County Historical Society is located in Greenwich, New Jersey, in Cumberland County. And we started in 1905. Our mission is to preserve and promote the history and heritage of the county through acquisitions, collections, exhibits and research, educational programs, and publications for the benefit of current and future generations.
Now, you said it was founded in 1905. Who were the founders of the Cumberland County Historical Society?
So a group of people were planning to put the current tea-burning monument in place, and out of that group of people came the Historical Society. These chartered members, formed the organization so that they could get funding from the freeholders and state legislation to erect the monument.
Okay. How large a staff does Cumberland County Historical Society have?
We're actually a pretty big staff. Currently, we have 4 operating museums, and then 1 research library. And our staff, including myself, is comprised of 23 people.
Ooh, wow. You say 4 museums. Are they all adjacent to one another, or are they scattered throughout the county?
We have one museum that the county owns, but we are the caretakers of it and we operate it. That museum is the Potter's Tavern Museum, and that is in Bridgeton. All of our other museums are up and down Ye Great Street in Greenwich.
Okay. Now, does Cumberland County Historical Society offer internships, and do you have volunteer workers?
We currently have 1 regular volunteer worker who has just, congratulations to him, has become a trustee. He comes in every week and he does a lot of genealogy research for us. And a lot of our other volunteers help with programs and events that we do. And we do offer internships. We're in the process of prepping formal internship programs for the upcoming fall and spring semesters.
These internships, are they aligned with any local schools or universities?
They are, yes. We advertise to Rowan University and Rutgers University-Camden, and we work with whoever the advisors for the students are. We work with them and we advertise to them as well when we are making these programs available.
Now, Brittney, as curator of the Cumberland County Historical Society, what are the most fascinating artifacts and records that your facility has?
So I would argue that all of our collections are very important to the different histories and cultures, time periods, and overall people that have been connected to the area in some capacity. We have an Indigenous museum, we have a maritime history museum, we also have a house museum, and then our library consists of all the paper and ephemeral artifacts for people to research. So we have materials that are linked to all different parts of history of the area. But I would argue that my favorite bias is my history focus is 19th century social history. So my particular favorites are hair wreaths, lasts, year or the year prior, we found a vinegar valentine up in our archives. We also have a broadside of a gentleman from 1859 who had a type of what he created was like a museum of taxidermied animals in Bridgeton, and we have a broadside in which he was selling his animals. So those particular materials are ones that I like.
How about a favorite physical artifact?
I really like, let me see. I mean, so many materials have led to such great research things. I would say, I don't know, I'd have to go probably back to like the hair wreaths artifact, just because they're so personal.
Okay.
These things are literally hair that was attached to people of such a distant period. It's so intimate.
Okay. Now, does Cumberland County Historical Society offer any type of public programming?
Yes. So we actually, in our winter months, so January, February, and March, we do a speaker series. So we invite somebody to come in who has researched a particular topic that's related to the area, and they give a talk, and we have refreshments afterwards, and these programs are free. We actually have one coming up this Sunday. Our staff member, Victoria Scanella, will be discussing the rum runners and prohibition that was in the area. And we also do all kinds of different fundraising events. We also do educational workshops as well. So we usually have at least one program a month and several a season.
Now, does the Historical Society also interact with the Cumberland County school system?
We do. We hold several tours, or school tours, mainly in the spring, with elementary schools, and we are hoping, we're creating some programs in-house and hoping that we can go to schools to share the history in classrooms as well.
Do you get good feedback from the kids? I mean, it's always a challenge to interest students, young kids, in history. Are you getting good feedback from the students?
Yes, yes. We have created programs, or did our tours based around stuff that the teachers are teaching, that they're being taught, and we try to do hands-on things as well. So one of the things is when the kids rotate and go through each of our buildings when they do the school tours, and at the Maritime Museum, the staff there does knots, like maritime knots, and they show the kids how to do that, and they really enjoy that. Okay. And then at our house museum, the Gibbon House, there we have a fire lit, and they're cooking like pancakes on the hearth, but that visualization of seeing the hearth and everything. And then at the Indigenous Museum, that museum is very popular, seeing the artifacts linked to the Lenni Lenape, and it's so interesting to the students. So it really absorbs they really are really invested in the history. Okay,
you anticipate my next question. Let's talk about the early history of Cumberland County. Were the Lenni Lenape the only Native American tribe inhabiting the area at the time, or were there other tribes?
So as I mentioned, my background is mainly 19th century, so the group that were in the area were known as the Delaware tribe, and then today they're known as the Lenni Lenape. They inhabited the area prior to colonization by the Swedes, and the area was called New Sweden in the early 1600s, and then that was followed up by the English. John Fenwick, he acquired the land that was Salem and Cumberland County. So Greenwich was part of Salem County for a while, and the two counties were then separated in 1748, and Cumberland was named after the Duke of Cumberland. It's always fun because in the first season of the show Outlander, Duke of Cumberland is kind of this big character, so yeah, Cumberland County was linked to him. But I would also just like to stress that the Lenni Lenape still exist and are in the area, and we are very fortunate that we can work closely with them to help preserve their heritage.
Now, you talk about John Fenwick. Was he a Quaker by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. So you have the Quaker influence then, like Pennsylvania then, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have two Quaker meeting houses in the area.
Yeah. Now, 2 months from now will mark the 250th anniversary of when the American Revolution started. Will the Cumberland County Historical Society offer any future exhibits and programs that discuss how the American Revolution affected Cumberland County?
Yes. So last year we had a big anniversary too in Cumberland County. We had the 250th anniversary of the Greenwich tea burning. So we held a program last year in which we invited the public to literally burn tea on our property in addition to other historical programs. So this year we will be planning for next year's 250th anniversary. So we're in the very early stages of that, but we want to do a lot of educational programs that focus on that and allow people to have a hands-on experience in the history as well.
Like the tea burning ceremony, was that after the Boston Tea Party?
It was. It was one of there after the Boston Tea Party. There were several different tea incidences, burnings, destruction all throughout the East Coast, and we were like one of the last ones.
Okay. I'm curious, the Maritime Museum, were there, during the Revolution, were any privateers operating out of Cumberland County?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I know that the end of the street, E-grade Street, is that's where the Cohansey River is, and that was a British port. So I know that, so that was a British port before landing in Philly. So I'm not sure about the privateers, though.
Yeah, because I think I read somewhere that there were privateers operating like out of Atlantic County and close to what is modern day Atlantic City and all that, and maybe north of it. You had the Egg Harbor and all that. I was wondering if there are any privateers operating out of the Cumberland County area. I was kind of curious about that.
Yeah, that'd be definitely something cool to look into.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just curious and all that. Yeah. Do you think you have any reenactments, in Cumberland County? Anything of that nature?
Yes. Yeah. We always love reenactments. It really allows people to really visualize what was occurring in the area, what people looked like, how people acted. In situations, particularly like I mentioned last year when we did the tea burning, we had a full encampment of reenactors on the grounds, and it was just really cool for people to be able to go through to see what the conditions were like for soldiers. So it's definitely something important to include in upcoming educational programs.
Out of curiosity, was there a heavy Patriot presence in Cumberland County, or was it mostly Tory?
It was pretty. I think it was mainly Patriot. We did have a few Tories, but that was one of the things with the tea burners is that the ones who were tried, they struggled getting them tried. They kept going through, and there kept coming up issues of why they weren't being prosecuted. And then eventually the war took place, and it just got rid of it. So it was heavily Patriot here.
Okay, Brittney, let's talk about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Vineland, New Jersey. It's still in Cumberland County. It's like 40 minutes from Greenwich, and that's where I was raised. I went through the public school system, DiBiase, Landis, Vineland High School, and then I took a couple years off. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to go to college, and then I eventually went for religious studies, and I had a professor my second year who taught history, and when I started at the county college, and after I took his class, I decided I wanted to do history, got my associates, then I went to Rutgers-Camden where I got my bachelor's and my master's in history, and then I'm currently working on my master's of information with a concentration of archives and preservation from Rutgers, New Brunswick, and I'll be done this semester.
I'm kind of curious, Brittney, you said religious studies. Were you planning a career of being a woman of the cloth?
Yes, in the Methodist sense, yes.
So is it accurate to say you came from a devout family?
Yeah, my family were pretty religious. We went to church every Sunday. We're involved in youth group and everything, in all the youth group programs.
So what tempted you to get into a historical career? You said you had a professor who was teaching you history. I mean, what tempted you? I hate to say the word tempt you, but what led you to choose a historical career?
I think because I always was interested in history in terms of like material culture. I liked going to museums. I liked seeing the artifacts. I liked watching historically timed movies. But like history itself, I wasn't interested. Like my history courses, I wasn't super interested in school. But this professor, it was like walking in and watching TV. It was like it was like story time. Like he didn't worry about get bogged down in dates or anything, and I was just absorbed in this more narrative-focused history that I didn't know was ever an option or existed. So that really just won me over.
Now, don't laugh. You and I have something in common. We both went to Rutgers-Camden. Who were your favorite professors at Rutgers-Camden? History professors.
Dr. Wendy Wilson's my absolute favorite. She still hears from me all the time, and I graduated in 2018. Dr. Andrew Schenkman, also spectacular. But I mean, like, I had everyone in the history department, and I loved working with all of them.
Yeah, I don't recognize those names. I was my bachelor's was in '86 and my master's was in 1991. So I figure they're probably all retired by now. Brittney, how do you envision Cumberland County Historical Society's future? Is there something that you want the Historical Society to aspire to go for?
Yeah, I mean, we've been on a kind of a big change the last several years. We've been really working on cataloging the collections. We just upgraded our database, and we're now working on getting all of our materials and resources from all the museums onto one searchable database. So we're in a really exciting time, and I want to see us continually on this path where we continue to learn and share the history of different people in the past that have been largely overlooked, who are not representative in our collections, and continue sharing that history through writing, through programs, through exhibits. One of my future goals too for CCHS, and I've been talking about this for a while with colleagues and stuff, is to do a LGBTQI oral history project. And I would also love to do a history conference for graduate students. And I think that one is something that is becoming more attainable in the future, closer in the future. So I'm excited for CCHS. We've been growing so much, and I'm so excited to see all the different histories that are coming out of each of our museums.
Okay. Final question. Here's a chance for you to speak to the general public. How can the general public help sustain the Cumberland County Historical Society? What can the general public do to help?
Yeah, I mean, monetary donations always help. We just redid our membership with a bunch of new benefits, different tiers, so I would encourage the public to look into those. And I think just if you see programs you're interested in, or if there are ways that maybe we're not reaching the public at our best capacity, contact us. Give us a call or an email. Let us know what we can do to make our history even more accessible. We're currently working on digitizing projects as well, so we're working in that area, but there are other things we're overlooking. Please let us know. We currently have a YouTube channel. All of our speaker series are recorded and uploaded on there, so those are viewable. We offer a lot of our programs via Zoom as well. So like I said, if there's anything that we can do to make sure that you can reach us even better, please let us know.
Well, is there can you provide us with a web address or an email address where people can reach out and contact you all? Please tell us.
Yeah, our web address is cchistosoc.org. And you can give us a call at 856-455-8580. That's the library number. One of us is always there. And then my email is BRITT, L as in Larry, P as in Paul, 48@gmail.com. Always shoot me an email, and I'm always happy to answer them as well.
Brittney, I want to thank you so much for appearing on the show, and hopefully you can be on again to promote anything. I just love to have you again. And if you ever write a book, let me know. I'd love to have you on my show again. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me and letting me share our work. Thank you so much.
You take care. All right.
Thank you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for next week's show where I will be interviewing Carolyn Srigley Moore. Thank you and good night.